Good morning, Predicted Trades family. Hope everybody is doing well today. I wanted to start prep today on a slightly higher time frame since it is the end of the month. So I wanted to take a look at our monthly candles just to see what we're dealing with. And we're going back a whole year so that we can see all of last year and this first month of this year. Overall, we did start to break through our trend line from highs, but now we are kind of back to test it. The main thing I want to note from this monthly candle is for a bullish finish to the month, we would want to kind of see a return to this current month's wick, right? If we could get a push today and close back near 4,100, that would be a very strong bullish finish to the month. If we're talking very bullish, it would be up a little further to 4136.5. If we look left, that's where all of these candles were closing or opening. That's a very big key level. It bounced us last February and March to try to hold us up. It's where we closed April and then finally gave out. So just overall, since it's the last day of the month, not expecting a ton, but we could get a very strong bullish finish that takes us back up to 4,100, maybe a little further. Let's go ahead and step down to our normal time frames. And while we're waiting on that to load, if we take a look at our daily chart down here, we can see that we have broken out of that trend line from last year's highs, and we've lived a number of candles above it. We are, again, having another little pullback here. But now our daily 21, this white MA, has caught up to the trend line from highs, and it sits around 39.90. So if we are going to continue this downtrend that started the last couple of days, we'd want to target that 39.90 where the daily 21 sits. There we go. We can see that. Over here. If this downtrend continues, we want to be targeting down to 39.90. Overall, we want to try to hold the daily 21. If we look left, that's where a couple of weeks ago when we had that strong Friday into a strong Monday, it basically, the market basically closed and then opened right around this 39.90 where the daily 21 sits. If we start to lose that daily 21, then we are moving back into that Friday range, and our daily 200 and daily 50 are intersecting at 39.61. I point out these downside targets just because I would like to see a strong bullish finish to the month, but if selling, is going to continue, if we've started our downtrend, then we will, likely get down to retest pre-market lows. We'll fire this 4-hour squeeze down to carry us to the daily 21, daily 50, daily 200 down below. You can see those perfectly overlap at that 39.61 key level. So we've got our MA, our daily moving average, targets to the downside, should this continue. But we're starting to get a nice push pre-market. We fought up to POC right before this data drop. Let's take a look at the economic calendar. There we go. So it looks like at 8:30 we had employment cost index, which was a little better than expected, it looks like. Let's see, around 9 a.m. we have some home data, and 9:45 and 10 a.m. we have a little bit more with business barometer, consumer confidence index, rental vacancy rate. So a little bit more coming out right after open. And we're pretty clear for today. Tomorrow's the big one. We've got some jobs data. We've got some manufacturing data. And then the big one at 2 o'clock, FOMC, the next rate hike. And we have Powell speaking afterwards. So things could definitely get spicy tomorrow. Thursday we have our jobless claims as always, and some more jobs data, and then some manufacturing data at 10 a.m. on Thursday. And then Friday we have the next big one is non-farm payroll, some more jobs data, some PMI. So yeah. Next week, do we have anything? Yeah, nothing big next week, actually. To kick off this first full week in February, so. The big one tomorrow is FOMC. Markets, you could say yesterday was market kind of waiting. We had that pop in the morning, right up to key level, 40.71. Once we broke back below, it was a short back down. And we just drifted back to this daily 8. Currently on ES, POC sits at about 40.28.5. So you can see we just fought up to POC, basically where VWAP is. Now we're pushing through. Overall, before that data drop, I was going to say, really want to see us get back above 40.35, the daily 8, and back to 40.40. That sets up, excuse me, that sets up that bullish thesis. As long as we can hold above POC and this daily 8, so basically 40.28 up to 40.35-ish. If we can hold up there, then we could get a strong rally today to get right back up and engulf and get back to our key targets above 40.56, 40.71, 40.87 on the journey to 4100. Looks like we're now going to be dealing with a small gap up. Oh, come on, Toss. Don't do this. So frozen, even time stopped ticking. There we go. It is worth noting we got up on Friday to our 2-day squeeze top, and since then, we have been rejecting and heading back to our daily moving averages. So let's see if buyers are going to step in now that we have tagged the daily 15, daily 8. We've made it back to liquidity with POC here as well. So let's see if buyers are going to step in to take us right back up for a test of that 2-day squeeze top. If we take a quick check on our ES chart with the 45 MAs that I cover all the time, we can see that we have slipped down below overnight pre-market. We slipped down below that 4-hour 45, which also sits at about 40.28. So we've got our 4-hour 45 right on top of POC for extra support. We have our other MAs sitting at that 40.40 and 40.35. So if we are transitioning into a bearish trend, we're going to reject these moving averages. We're going to head below the 4-hour, and any pops will hit those moving averages and then roll back over. That's if we are changing trend back down, right? We go below our moving averages, we flip them all bearish, we start to come up and test them, we have to keep rejecting them to continue a bearish trend. But now that we have pulled all of our MAs, or our 45 MAs down near that 4-hour, as long as we can get above and hold and start to break back above our MAs, so start to break back above 40, 45, let's call it, then we are just retesting for continuation on this bullish trend that we've been in. So let's see what we get today. If we do have some rejections and roll back, I want to see us hold that daily 15 at 40.10. This 4-hour squeeze bottom at about 40.17, 40.20, or just hold POC, right? We don't have to dip to pre-market lows. If we can just hold around POC and start to take off, we could get that bullish end of the month that we just talked about. So let's move on. I think that's enough on ES to know where we're at and where we could be going. So yeah, yesterday in the morning at least, NQ was a bit of a lagger. I say in the morning at least because I had to take off for the afternoon, but at least in the morning did note that NQ was really lagging while Ruddy and YM were pushing. Overall, NQ just pulled back to the daily 8 and a hair below that 12,000 and the daily 200. So overall on NQ, pretty much the same kind of setup. When I see us hold the daily 8 and above pre-market lows, hold this 11,900, which POC is right at 11,915. Right at the daily 8, pretty much. So want to hold that daily 8 and POC on NQ on any dips and try to push back above 12,000. The daily 200, get back to this 12,100 and 250 up above. But if we lose POC and the daily 8 and take out pre-market lows, then we want to be targeting down to the daily 15 and the daily 21, down near 11,750 and 11,675-ish. Of our next key levels. As you can see on NQ, I don't throw as many levels as I do on ES, just the main ones, right? We fought up to 12,100, held that 200, got up to the next key level, and then sold back. So we need to hold these MAs, or we could continue this journey to the next big key level, where the 21 now sits. On Ruddy. On the old Russell. And see, not surprising with our MAs, we pushed right up and tapped where the MAs stop, and now we're going to pull back and open in between them, likely. So on the Ruddy, slip down to the bottom of this 4-hour squeeze and the daily 15, now back above the daily 8. So basically today I want to see us hold the pre-market low, the daily 15, this 4-hour squeeze bottom. Basically 1885, 1890. Want to see that hold. We have POC here at 1895, basically where the daily 8 is. So we don't usually get this where everything lines up this well, where NQ's POC is right here at the daily 8, where the Russell's POC is right here at the daily 8. And we had the same pretty much on ES. So we are at a lot of liquidity. Even the point of control, POC, has established itself right at this liquidity level. So let's see if we can hold it and push to the upside for a strong finish to the month. On ready, we tested 1900. That's the big key pivot today. If we can't get through 1900, we're going to come back to retest. If we can get above 1900 and hold, looking to push back up. 1910, 1920, 1930. Basically from 4-hour squeeze bottom back to the top. If we start to lose POC, coming down to retest the daily 15 and the pre-market low, should that give out the daily 21 down at 1865-ish. On to IM. Alright, YM. There we go. Made it down to that 4-hour squeeze bottom, pre-market. Almost to that 33,500. Looks like we held around 600. And coming right back up to these moving averages. On any pullbacks, would prefer that we hold around 33,750 where the daily 21, daily 50 sit. If we can hold there, looking to get back above the moving averages that we're testing right now, the daily 8, daily 15, and start this journey back to 34,000, 34,200 up at the top of this 4-hour squeeze. But if we reject these moving averages, coming back to test this daily 21, daily 50, if we can't hold there, coming down to test pre-market lows. And if selling is just strong, then we're going to make it down to this 33,500, which is, back below the mean and pushing into negative Keltner territory. Looks like SPY is going to be gapping up about $1. Very interesting. Yep, Apple made it back to the daily 8, so on any dips, want to hold pre-market lows at daily 8 around 141.5. Looking to fight back up to this 145.5, 145. Maybe even push further to near Friday's highs. We do have a 4-hour squeeze top right around 146.5. But should we, say, reject this trend line from yesterday's and overnight's highs, this down channel that we find ourselves in, should we reject 144.5 or that channel top and start to come back down? We want to target 142, 141.5 where the daily 8 sits. If we give out that pre-market low, that daily 8, we want to target right down to the next daily moving average, the daily 50 at 138.8. And that psych level of 140. AMD, they report this week. They report today after the bell. So going to be very interesting to see the AMD reaction. And it could set up a potential sympathy play with playing something like NVIDIA. Oh, Lord. Please don't take this long to load charts. There we go. Overall, going into earnings, someone expects AMD to just get back above 72.3 and meander around this balance range that it's been in between That's 72 and 75. If market keeps slipping, again, not really expecting AMD to just dive, as it is right at the daily 21, right at a 4-hour squeeze bottom. So overall, let's see if we can hold above 71 and 70. Right? If we reject and start to come down, you want to target 71 and 70. And see if we can hold above those, start to get back above 72 and a half. And try to fight back, maybe to the top of this range before earnings. Alright, Amazon. Yesterday dipped back below 100 and then fought right back above to close out the day near 100.5. Having a little gap up. Overall, let's see if we can hold 100, 100.5, which would be coming back to fill this little gap up. As long as we can hold above those, looking to get back to 101.75-ish, 102. And if we can push further, 103 back to Friday's highs, maybe up to that 104.25. Amazon reports on Thursday. Google. So overall, on Google, looking for 96, 96.5 to hold us on any dips. And as long as we can hold, looking to continue up back to 98.75, 99, maybe even back to 100, 101 if we get a strong push on Google, who also reports on Thursday. If we start to lose that 96, 96.5, we want to target down to 95. And maybe 94 where the daily 21, daily 15 sits, with our key level there at 93.5. Should we break back down? Meta. Oh my, market's gonna push for some more. Man, from 40.10 this morning, right back up to 40.50. That's why it's nice to have a futures account. Catch that 4-hour squeeze bottom, and right back up. Meta just continuing to remain strong. Let's see if we can hold above yesterday's lows and pretty much where we closed at about 147 and pre-market lows near 146. So let's see if we can hold that zone. Try to push back up. When does Meta report? Tomorrow. Tomorrow after the bell. So, that was not on my radar. My bad. So let's see how Meta acts before reporting tomorrow. We'll get through FOMC and everything before they report. So, very interesting. We can hold that 146, 147. Looking forward to fight back up to 150. And this daily 200 up at 153-ish. We start to lose that 146, target back to 144. 140, about where the daily 15 will be. Moving on to Microsoft. So Microsoft, pretty quiet yesterday on that decent gap down. And just came back to the daily 8, daily 50 for some taps. Held that 241 pre-market and starting to work its way back up. So as long as we can hold above that 241 and these daily moving averages, looking for Microsoft to try to continue back up to 246 near yesterday's highs, and maybe even get back up to fill the gap down that we had back to 248, 250. You know, had that great reaction to earnings, came back, tagged key levels, almost made it back to those earnings wicks, coming back to daily liquidity. So it could be just establishing those higher lows to build up steam to take out that earnings wick and get back to the daily 200. Let's see how the other big tech earnings go this week, but you know, if we see some favorable reactions, I'm expecting Microsoft to get up to this 255, daily 200, and 2-day squeeze top. Netflix. Netflix, you know, reported earnings, made a huge move. Now it's been taking a break. Coming back down with the market. Let's see if they're ready to rotate into Netflix again to try to make another push, or if they're going to let it slowly drift back to something like this 340, near the daily 21, and near that earnings high, right? They bought it up, and took off. They might just be letting it drift right back to pick it up at the same prices again for another run. Overall, if we start to go back below 350 today and take out pre-market low, you want to target down to that 340, 335 where the daily 21 sits, and kind of the lows of this day after earnings. If it stays above 350, might try to make a push back to that 361 and filling that gap down. Yep, past that 361, I got a key level in that recent high of 370. But overall, you know, Netflix has made the move and there's more attention over on other big tech names, so I'm expecting this one to maybe stay calm. But you never know. Maybe they pulled it back just enough and they're about to take off again from 350 to try to make it up to 380. Moving on, NVIDIA. NVIDIA's definitely been moving and shaking during this tech earnings season. Reports at the end of the month, or at the end of February. They're definitely starting to move her more than she was. Made this great push from this 168 zone that we drew a couple of weeks ago. Made it all the way up to 206. Wow. Pulled back to the daily 8. Near this 190. So as long as we can hold 190 and those pre-market lows. I mean, if we start to lose 190, we're coming to test pre-market lows. But if we can hold Looking for NVIDIA to try to fight back up to 195, 200. It might actually just kind of sit at this daily 8 today with AMD earnings tomorrow. They might be pulling it back to load into a an earnings sympathy play with AMD. So let's see if we can hold that 190 and start to push back up towards 200. But if we start to lose that 190 pre-market low, we want to target back to 185 where the first Keltner sits. And then our daily 21, daily 15 way down at 176, 178, right below 180. So let's just see if they're done with this little downtrend or if they're trying to pull it back to the mean right before AMD's earnings. Just because, if earnings go decent for AMD, they could start a, 2-week run into NVIDIA's earnings. Basically pushing up to third Keltner, bring it back to reset, and then do it again. So let's just see if they're going to actually move NVIDIA today. Watch that overnight high, pre-market low, see if it stays in range with this daily 8 or starts to break back out to the upside. Q. Oh, I need to turn on the heater in the office today. You guys can't see it, but the weather that's usually here is over on my other screen. It's 12 degrees today. Pretty chilly. So QQQ, we can see this pre-market low was also Thursday's pre-market low. And we have the daily 8 has caught up here as well. So looking to hold above. What's that low? Yeah, there we go. Basically around 288. 287.5 is the furthest, so 287.5, 288, that's our support where we bounce. That's the bottom of the 4-hour squeeze, the daily 8. So if we do get a dip, looking to hold there. Overall, very strong back above the overnight highs. Yep. And having a little gap up. So let's see if we're just going to have a little dip to fill the gap around 290. And as long as we can hold above 290 early, we can make a quick push back to the daily 200 at 292.25. Back up to yesterday's highs near 294, maybe even up to the 4-hour squeeze top, 297. If we start to, or come back to test 288 and lose it, you want to target back to 285. The daily 21, down near about 282.5, 283. SPX. We're having a 10-point gap up around 40.30, right about there. Yeah, even though we filled this gap, I'm going to connect that right about there. Even though we filled this gap, I'm still going to make a small little support zone off of it with that daily 8. Basically, as long as we hold above this on SPX, looking for that bounce to get back up. We do have a gap from yesterday that we reached partially into. So we'll be opening between these gaps. Overall, let's see if we can hold that daily 8. If we do come back to fill the gap, and this little support zone, basically what we fought back to fill the gap, what we came back to test. So as long as we can hold this, looking for us to fight back up to 40.50, maybe up to fill the rest of this gap, getting us to 40.70, and tapping this 2-day squeeze top. If we start to give out this zone of support, and yeah, basically if we start to give out the daily 8, we want to target the daily 8 sitting at about 40.17. We want to target down to about 4,005, 4,000. And should that start to give out, then it's back to these daily moving averages that start at 39.83, 39.70-ish about the daily 21, daily 200, 39.55, daily 50, 39.45-ish. So, can we hold this daily 8 that's sitting further above all of our moving averages? Hold, 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 take back off, or we lose it and continue the journey back to reset, reversion to the mean for SPX. SPY, Tesla, and VIX. We'll wrap this up. So SPY, just very quick and simple. Yesterday's low, we're back above it. We tried to bounce at it a couple of times overnight at that daily 8. If we can hold there above this 400, it's kind of making that inverse head and shoulders, with the shoulder line being this zone we have at 400.3, 400.5. So on any dips, want to see us hold that at the very worst 400. We start to lose that, we're going to come down to test 399 at the bottom of this 4-hour squeeze. The overnight low at 398 and a quarter. And then should those give out, down to 397, where the daily 15 sits, and 395.8 where the daily 21 sits, if we continue breaking down. Probably want to mark. I'm not going to grab the highest wick just because it makes the trend line a little uglier. But we do have kind of the trend line from highs of the last couple of days that brought us back. So if we can hold this zone, 400 and a half, sorry, looking to push through this 402.75. If we can get through that, then we can have that strong bullish finish. Maybe get back to this 4-hour squeeze top, back to 405, 406, 407. But if we reject around this 402.75, call it 403 if you want. If we do reject there and start to come back, looking for that 400, 400 and a half to hold. We do have that 4-hour squeeze bottom. So let's see if they're just going to settle, right? Which means we won't break out from this trend line from highs. We'll just run into it, slip back, run into it, slip lower, pop back up. Maybe something a little similar to yesterday, even though we kind of gave out at the end there. So overall, you have your pre-market lows. Let's call it that 399 to 399 and a quarter. We start to lose 400 and a half. Likelihood that we are just going to settle into this, down channel, down wedge, whatever you want to call it, bottom of that 4-hour squeeze. But if we can get through, 403 really opens up the door. Back to yesterday's high, 405. Back to, Friday's highs at the top of the 4-hour squeeze. Sorry, did not mean to reiterate all that. Just got to take note of the, potential wedge that we are coming into open. And right, it's just like I talked about with these 45 MAs. Not shocked that we ran right to the top of them and we're just sitting. Wouldn't be shocked for a little push to try and get going and then falling back into them before actually going higher. Tesla. Made such a good run. From my key levels, right? Started to break out to 136, came back to that 126, and made the push up to 180. Made it back to my key zone here at 166, 167.5. Gapping down a little bit while the market's gapping up, hasn't popped up to meet. So we are at that second Keltner at about 163.5. So looking for that to hold. If we start to lose 163.5, I want to target down to 160, and then 155, 153 where the daily 8 sits, 151 where the daily 50 sits. If they are trying to bring it back to liquidity before any further moves up. But if we can hold, looking to get back above that 167.5, 170, and try to fight up to that 180 again. And VIX. Come on, VIX. Come on. There we go. VIX left quite a gap behind. And our daily 15 sit right at the top of that gap. We also have the start of an hourly squeeze around VIX. So that also lends to the potential of more of a consolidation day. I mean, as I look around, we do have some 1 hour squeezes, so keep an eye on that. Definitely check out your 1 hour squeezes. They could set the tone for some of the indices and big names. So on VIX, we gapped up to the daily 21, and we pretty much held there yesterday. Went up a little further. Tapped the top of a 4 hour squeeze today. Ooh, I like that. So ES, tap the bottom of the 4 hour squeeze. VIX got to the top of the 4 hour squeeze and rejected. The bottom was way down here where we were on Friday trying to fire that 4 hour squeeze. The gap up gets us right back to the top of it, and I love that rejection pre-market. Takes us back below the daily 21. Overall, for an upside today, I want to see VIX stay below yesterday's highs at about 20 and a quarter, and stay below this daily 21 at 20.15. As long as we can stay below that. In fact, I'm just gonna mark another little zone. I like to make little shady zones. 21.15. I'll make it right at 21.13. Why not? So overall on VIX today, I want to see it stay below that shaded zone, reject, and start to roll back over more to yesterday's lows, back to this daily 15, daily 8 at the bottom of the 1 hour squeeze. If we can push past that, we can fire this 1 hour squeeze to get us back through filling this gap. That's all a bullish scenario, right? But if we're going to consolidate or head back down, we'll likely see VIX stay above this 19. Well, if it gets down to the daily 8, daily 15. We'll likely see it bounce, get right back up to 20, and try to push through yesterday's highs to get up to pre-market highs at the top of that 4-hour squeeze at 20.5. So if market's going to slip or go back to test, we'll see a pop in VIX. If it gets through this zone and carries, then the market will likely slip further and continue this downtrend. But if we can see VIX stay below this zone of yesterday's highs and the daily 21 and head back to 19.5, that green lights some more upside. So that's it for today. Hopefully this was helpful for everybody. Sorry we ran a little late, but just wanted to give everybody some good context and some trade thesis going into FOMC tomorrow. But yeah, good luck today. Play safe. Be ready in case it is a consolidation day. And we'll see everybody in the chat.